All right, good evening, everybody. From what I see up on the screen over here, I believe it's 7:32, so we'll go ahead and we'll convene this meeting. So I'd like to welcome everybody to this meeting of Village of Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is created by the statutes of the state of Illinois and by the ordinances of the Village of Skokie for the purpose of granting proper case relief from the strict terms of our zoning ordinances. The decision of this board to either grant or deny relief will be based upon the evidence presented to it and how that evidence is related to the standards for granting relief. All persons who have an interest in a case, either as a petitioner or as a member of the public, either supporting or opposing the petition or as an independent witness, will be given a chance to speak on the record and to express his or her points of view. The Zoning Board of Appeals is not a court of law, and therefore we do not follow the strict rules of evidence. However, this hearing will be conducted in such a manner as to hear only competent evidence or statements. Questions as to procedure, interpretation, and of the admissibility of statements or evidence will be ruled upon by Corporation Counsel Tyler Kobilski, and his legal decisions will be binding upon this board. Certain cases require covenant running with the land. This will be prepared and recorded by the Village of Skokie Legal Department, and this is done at the petitioner's expense. Whether or not a covenant is required is a determination to be made by the Corporation Counsel at the conclusion of each individual case. If a covenant running with the land is required, it cannot or will not be prepared until our court reporter has returned to the Zoning Board of Appeals a transcript of these proceedings. The Village of Skokie will notify each petitioner when the covenant has been prepared and is ready for signature. No building permits or certificates of occupancy can be issued until the covenant is signed by the petitioner. Should a petition for variation be denied, or should a covenant not be required, the Board of Trustees will authorize the refund of any required fees. Should it be necessary for the petitioner to request a continuance due to lack of preparation, a case continuation fee of 1/2 of the original application fee is due prior to the rehearing date. This request must be made before any testimony begins. All petitioners must receive a vote of the majority of the zoning board present in order to cite any matter under consideration. Our full complement is 9 members. However, it looks like tonight's complement is 7 members, making 4 votes necessary to make a determination on a petition. And members of the public who wish to comment as to an item on the published legal notice must submit their statement or question in writing to the village manager's office no later than noon on the day of the scheduled meeting, and all properly submitted statements or questions will be presented and read during the relevant portion of the meeting. Written comments may be submitted by email to citizencomments, that's one word, at skokie.org, or by mail to the Village of Skokie, Village Manager's Office, 5127 Oakton Street, Skokie, Illinois 60077. The meeting may be viewed as well on Skokie Vision Cable Channels number 17, which is Comcast, or number 25, which is RCN, or via the village website. So tonight we have 2 cases. We have thank you. 2021-04Z 8253 Kimball Avenue, and 2021-02Z 8630 Keeler Avenue. And in these 2 cases, I will ask Corporation Counsel, has the proper notice been served and notarized?
Yes, notice is proper and correct for both.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now before we move forward with the first case, we have in our packet, and hopefully everybody's had a chance to look it over, the meeting from our previous, the minutes from our previous meeting, which was on May 5th, and which we heard the 2 cases, 8630 Keeler Avenue and 2021-03Z 9425 Harding Avenue. So in the matter of the minutes, the chair will entertain a motion for the minutes to be approved as they exist.
I make a motion that the minutes be approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Jacobson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay,
David
Commissioner
Salvi.
Salvi, we'll give a second. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed, say no? No noes? Okay, thank you. Minutes are approved. Thank you as always, Marlene. Okay, all right, so now we'll go ahead and we'll move forward with our first case of the evening. 2021-04Z, 8253 Kimball Avenue. And is the petitioner present for that case? All right, sir. If you would, please come on up and step up to the podium here. And as you do that,
I have some information that I can put on the screen if you would like.
information that we can put on the overhead screen?
Yeah,
Or-
it's on the computer.
Okay.
It's all, is this information you had submitted earlier, sir?
Some of it,
As
yes,
part
some
of your
some
filing?
Some of it more, form information.
Okay.
Well, let's try what we have there, and we'll go from there. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. If what we see is adequate and that's in the packet, then that's great. And then if there's anything more that needs to be done, then we'll address it at that time.
Okay.
So, all right, while you're there, sir, I know that Commissioner Arden is presenting your case today. So, Sean, you ready?
Yes,
All right, very good.
Yes.
Sean, the floor is yours.
thank you. All right, 2021-04Z, 8253 Kimball Avenue. Howard Dardick of Annan LLC requests a variation in order to construct an addition resulting in a building coverage of 68% of the lot rather than 60% maximum as required by Section 118-172 of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an M2 Light Industry District. I'll now read the petitioner's statement. Mr. Augustine, I am writing as the representative of the owner to request a variation to the zoning ordinance, section 118-172, maximum land coverage by buildings, to allow an expansion of our building footprint at the rear of the property. Existing property is zoned M2 Light Industry, existing to remain no change. Existing property is 39.88 feet by 123.17 for a total lot area of 4,912 square feet by 60% max lot coverage ratio 2947, and then the maximum building footprint is on here. Our existing front west building face is set back approximately 22 feet 7 inches from the front west property line, whereas the front wall of our neighbor directly to the south projects 24 inches further west. The rear east building line is set back approximately 10 feet from the rear east property line, whereas both adjacent neighbors are built to rear property line. We'd like to add an addition of 9 feet 7 inches by 35 feet at the rear of the building toward the rear property line to expand our interior warehouse space, allowing additional operations and storage for our established construction business. I've reviewed the criteria for a zoning variance and believe that our intended expansion is a reasonable request which will not have an adverse effect on our adjacent neighbors and fits within the character of the neighborhood. Given that our structure is more than 50 years old and was built at approximately the same time as the adjacent buildings, we feel that the proposed structure is in character with the adjacent neighborhood and will allow us to expand to the maximum potential of the property without creating a precedent for other property owners. We are hoping that this small addition will provide additional interior space for our cramped offices and storage space without creating any hardship to the alley service areas, parking, or trash collection. And thank you for your consideration. The staff gave a recommendation. We all have the analysis in our packet, so please refer to that before questioning. Staff recommendation. Based on the proposed findings of fact, staff recommends that the petitioner's request to construct a first floor addition resulting 68% lot coverage by buildings be denied. If approved, staff recommends the following conditions. The entire addition must be set back at least 5 feet from the rear lot line to accommodate a dumpster and a landing for a rear exit door.
Okay, great. All done? All right, very good. Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm great.
All right. Could you please tell us your name and spell it so we may have it for the record?
My name is Howard Dardick, D-A-R-D-I-C-K.
Okay, and Mr. Dardick, if I may, since you're at the podium, would you please raise your hand so I may swear you in? Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief?
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay, great. Go ahead, Mr. Dardick, please continue and tell us why we're here tonight.
Okay, what we would like to do is add on approximately 9 feet to the building across the back to make the building more usable. The garage door that's there is very small, and it's very difficult to get things in and out of there. And this will help the building to be able to be used better. The 3 things that I believe that you guys addressed was, number 1 is the exit door swinging into the alley. So we changed the drawings and put the exit door swinging into the building. So that'll address that. Number 2 is they're concerned about where to put the garbage, whatever it's called, the containers.
Dumpster?
Dumpster. The 4.80 feet between the 2 buildings is vacant, and it's owned by this building, so we propose to put a pad in there and put the dumpster in there. If we don't do that, there's a telephone pole there, and the dumpster against the wall of the building would not exceed past the telephone pole. And if you go down the alley, first off, I own the buildings on both sides.
Okay.
And both of those buildings go out way past where we're trying to go now, okay? Then if you go down the alley, there's at least 7 buildings that are built all the way to the alley line, and we're not going to the alley line, we're talking about holding it back about a foot. And, you know, we don't want to set a precedence, but all those other buildings have been down there for years, and I've got pictures of them if you guys want to see them.
Okay. Is Mr. Dardick's microphone on, if I may ask? Because he just seemed very quiet. Is he being recorded okay?
I mumble. I mumble a lot.
Okay.
Ask my wife, she'll tell you.
All right, very good, sir. All right, as long as we have your recorded testimony, it just seemed soft, that's all, as opposed to,
One more thing, I grew up in Skokie. I went to
Okay.
Niles North, and I'd like to, you know, continue to stay in Skokie. I've invested in a lot of property. I own 7 buildings between the 2 streets here down the alley, and this building just doesn't work the way it is, and I don't want to relocate to another place, but I'd just like to add 9 feet. I mean, I don't think I'm asking for anything unreasonable.
I'm sure the village and all the other taxing bodies appreciates your property tax donation, so thank you for that. Well, let's go to Commissioner Arden. Now that you've had your say, I'd like to go to Commissioner Arden and see what Sean has to say about the case. So, Sean, let's have your
Hi,
impression on the situation.
I visited the site. This would seem in line with the other properties in the area. There are other properties that come out further. You know, when I visited, I didn't really see it being an issue. But that's just my, you know, take on it. But, you know, looking at the neighboring properties, they come out further. So it makes me wonder, why can't his property, you know, come out further as well? It just wouldn't seem fair to say no. I mean, you know, I'm sure the other buildings might have been built before the code, but as long as there's enough room for, you know, what the staff said, garbage and everything, I don't see this being an issue.
Okay.
No, one item will have to be addressed is whether the International Building Code allows for a door to swing in or not. And then the landing size will have to be 44 inches outside of the door to come out. You still cannot walk out and have a landing out into a public alley.
Okay.
So that's that's whether the door swings in or out, the door can possibly get recessed, but you know, showing the building code requirement, there's going to have to be a 44-inch deep minimum landing outside of that door, so somebody doesn't swing. And again, I'm not sure if the building code would allow a door swinging in as an exit door. It might have to swing out, but there will have to be a 44-inch minimum landing outside of that door on private property. That could be addressed in different ways, but the dumpster, I was talking to one of the other planners, there's other issues that came up, so there's gonna have to be a landing on private property outside of that door,
Brian?
not into the alley.
Sorry, just a question. I'm not sure if this is a possibility. You know, maybe it would be fine swinging it or not, but what if it went up or it slid to the side? Would that be an issue?
If what would slide to the side?
The door, if it was a door that slid open?
And then you can't, it has to be, it's a man door, you can't have a sliding
Okay.
door for an exit, a
I
required
could
exit.
possibly come up with a solution.
Could it come up?
No, you can't have an overhead, it's gonna have to be a man door that's.
Okay.
Could you have a cut into the building to
They
allow?
have, they can recess it, yes. They'd have to do something to recess the door and provide, that's, you know, when I showed this plan to one of our lead building plan reviewers, he said it's never, we would deny it, there's no way it would ever be approved. The door would have to be recessed in and there'd have to be a landing provided, so there's gonna have to be some adjustment to that if the wall stays in its current
Could I
location.
answer that? First off, if we have to go into the building 4 feet or shrink this 4 feet, it doesn't make sense to do all of this work, number one. Number two is every other door in the alley is at the alley line and it swings out. The only reason I offered to swing in was because you guys were concerned about that. Number three is, if it's necessary, we can open the door to the side in that little area, not put the dumpster there, and have a landing there, so the door would go to the north on the side of the building. But if the building doesn't come out to 9 feet, it doesn't make any sense to spend all of this money to expand the building.
If there's a landing size coming out to the north, which it looks like it should meet, then you just have to adjust for the dumpster, where the dumpster is gonna go, because I believe you said the dumpster was gonna go in that area.
Well, it's a possibility. The dumpster against the building with the telephone pole that's there, which you can see. If the building lines up with the building to the north and you put the dumpster next to the telephone pole, it's still not protruding into the alley. It's back by how many inches? 6 inches, 4 inches?
Do you know how deep the dumpster is?
Yeah, we measured the dumpsters. We did have some revised drawings that we brought in order to show what we were proposing. The dumpsters are 42 inches deep by 6 feet long. Those 42 inches deep, you can see that line of telephone poles that are in the alley. That line of telephone poles are 44 inches from the face of the building. Currently, what looks like a yellow building right there, the dumpsters for that building are right there, but you can't see them because of the way the telephone pole is.
I've driven by the site. You could see the dumpsters.
Yeah.
From the
Not in
north,
the picture,
from
but-
the north, you could clearly see the
Yeah.
dumpster
You can see the
sticking into
dumpster
the
is
alley.
exposed, it's just you can't see it in a photograph because it's hidden by the telephone pole. And to address your comment of the door, the code does not say that you can't, I'm the architect for the building. The code says that you cannot swing into the path of traffic. And because those telephone poles in each of the locations we're proposing, the telephone poles are actually, they're providing protection for that door. The door does not actually swing into the alleyway. So when you're saying that you need a
44-inch landing is what I was shown in the International Building Code.
Well, if you have a landing outside of a door to step onto grade, or you need to have some kind of solid pavement outside of a door, there's a minimum required size for that landing. But when you have existing paving of an alley, what the issue is you don't want a door to swing open and then get hit by a car and a vehicle, shearing the door off or killing the pedestrian walking out the door. In each of these, in the location where we're proposing the door, that's not an issue.
And the only reason I offered to open it in was because they were concerned about it opening
Oh,
out.
Yeah,
the plans will have to meet our current building code requirements. That's,
Which would be a code issue, a building code
yes.
issue.
Yeah.
Which will,
We're concerned about exiting out dumpster location,
Right.
and the obvious concerns about being over building coverage.
Yeah. Sir, if I may, you're the architect
Yes.
for Mr. Dardick. May I have your name so we may have it for the record?
Yeah, my name is Thomas Knapp, K-N-A-P-P, architect.
Okay. All right, Mr. Knapp. And again, do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give or have given as of now is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. In terms of a door swinging in, the building code says that if the building occupancy is no more than 20 people, the door can swing in. Right now, the building has staff in it, and I think we have, what is it?
4 or 5 people, there's not even a lot in there.
For an industrial type of use, having 20 people in there would not really make sense.
Can we show that on the screen?
But again, we'll figure out how to meet the
Put it under
code
that
as far as that goes, but to hold the building back 4
See
feet
that
makes no
projector?
sense
Just
for
go
us.
up there.
I mean, I'm not gonna spend all of this money and it
And then
just
it will
doesn't work.
project.
And every
Yeah.
other building down that alley, and I've got pictures of 7 buildings that are built further out all the way to the actual alley, and those doors all swing up.
I don't believe, I believe that, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming those were also built in the 1950s and not
Right.
additions. I'm assuming those buildings weren't built since we've adopted the International Building
Now,
Code.
there's one addition that was put in maybe 5 or 8 years ago. That's down there, the one that's on the cement block. You want to know the address of it?
I don't have time to do the research
Okay,
now.
well, there's a building that was built 7 or 8 years ago that goes all the way to the property line.
So we did prepare a couple of sketches to address the issues that you brought up, that are brought up by staff, and we believe that we've addressed each of those issues. We revised the rear elevation, we revised the layout of the door location, so that in every situation, we believe we've provided for the dumpster, we've provided for the door exiting, and we've provided for traffic access in and out of the building by making the overhead door wider. So we believe that our revised sketches address all of those without changing the building dimensions at all.
Okay. Is this,
Do you have a revised site plan?
We do, yes.
Yeah, let me,
I can bring these up on the overhead.
that would be very helpful.
It'll interrupt the feed for Mr. Sullivan, though.
Okay. All right, David, you'll be in the dark for momentarily while we look at the revised plans for this case. Is that okay?
That's fine.
That's where you want,
Okay, thanks, David.
that's what it's showing. And then there's an elevation the
And
next
there's
page.
there's a blow up of that site plan as well on the next page. A blow up of that.
Right. It's gonna go out. It's very unlikely it could go in. I know, yeah, I mean.
I have pictures if you want to project them of the whole back.
Yeah, hold on one second. Okay, so is this the revised site plan that?
Yes.
Okay, so can you go ahead and please describe what we're looking at here and how this
Okay, so-
ameliorates all the problems that we've had so
Right,
far?
so the size of the addition does not change.
Okay,
We clearly show the trash container in the location that we believe is very similar to the other buildings in the neighborhood. You can see that the existing telephone pole there, the outside edge of the telephone pole is 44 inches from the building. A trash container is 42 inches deep by 78 inches long. I believe that's 78 over there. So the trash container would be entirely behind that telephone pole.
okay,
We also, we did swing the door in. What we were just talking about is if you really want the door to swing out and you do not want it to swing over the alley, then Howard Dardick just suggested he could always have that exit door go north as long as the trash container is okay where it's shown.
You move the trash
That-
container south and then
that-
there'll be enough room to go out
That would work.
and put a pad out there.
We also, there was some comments in the staff comments about ingress and egress for vehicles.
okay.
We did make the overhead door wider because
Okay.
we are trying to have better access for vehicles in and out of that garage door. So by making it a 20-foot wide door, it does provide much wider access and makes it much easier for vehicles to pull in and out without being a problem for cross traffic in the alley.
Okay, and that wouldn't be an issue as far as like having a very limited apron, so to speak, with this wider door?
No, Usually aprons, for alleys like that are usually 2 feet or 3 feet wide.
Okay.
The apron extension,
Mhm.
yeah, 2 to 3 feet is fine.
Okay. I see staff looking at this revised site plan very intently, and I'd like to know what his impressions on.
The option to the door going to the north was also brought up with our plan reviewer.
Okay.
That was definitely an option to get that door to the north. Ideally, we don't have the trash container sticking into the alley. I know it's protected by a telephone pole, but it's not an ideal situation.
Presently, we don't have a trash container there anyway. The trash is going into the next building.
Right, but there's nothing, these are two separate lots, so there's nothing stating that this lot can't get sold off, the connection be
Right.
demolished, and these are two separate buildings in 5 years.
And Brian, when you say alley, you mean the right of way? Yeah.
Correct, the public alley, yes, the public right-of-way.
We do have a photo that that a few of our commissioners over here, Commissioner Perlin took, that shows the illustration, the building to the north, and how their dumpster is tucked behind the telephone pole, which is very similar, I believe, to what you're showing here.
And we can pass these around if you want. I've got all these.
Yeah, please, please give it to staff. They have looks like they got the same picture. There it is. Right?
That's what I saw yesterday.
Right. Mhm. That's what I saw yesterday, too.
You can see also that that door, that exit door right there swings over the alley the same way and is protected by the telephone pole.
It would be a similar situation.
Well, again, I understand, but like staff said, this building was probably built in the 50s before, the codes that are on the books are there now, so, we have to treat your case as a separate entity unto itself, since it is considered new construction.
And that's showing the buildings all the way down the alley that are built all the way out with doors coming with their addresses. And I've got the other side on Christiana here if you want to see them too.
Just a quick, what you're proposing does not exceed anything that we're seeing in these photos?
There's less in there.
It's still less than what you
Than
see?
all these other buildings, yes.
Right, okay. So Brian, this is the building to the north, the 8255 Kimball, with his dumpster tucked very discreetly behind the utility pole?
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons why our comment was about the dumpster sticking into the public alley.
So in other words, as we see this right now, that's illegal?
Well, it's not illegal, it's not an ideal situation.
Okay,
It's-
but it
it's-
is not illegal and it is not against code?
No.
Okay.
So we'll be in the same situation on the next building because the
Okay.
buildings are going to line up.
Can we go over to the overhead again, Matt, their revised site plan, please? Okay, yeah, that's fine, we can look at it that way. That 4 foot 10 inch gap that's between the two buildings?
Right, and it's owned by this building. It's on this building's.
Is it owned by the 8255 or?
8253 building.
Okay, so by the building
That
in
we're
question?
bought the addition on, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that gap, that opening is on the subject site.
Okay. Can the trash container be slid into that area?
Sure, but if we end up putting a door there to go out, then it wouldn't work. We show it on a drawing with it going in there. It definitely can go in there.
Uh-huh.
The next page.
Well, if you happen to have the door to the man door to the north, which is something that we're proposing, then the man door opens towards the inside, as you show here on your revised site plan, then all you gotta do is basically move the dumpster a little farther in.
Further in, that's right, and it'd be a
Yeah,
flat
it-
piece of concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the door exits out to the north and there's a landing and a way to get out to the alley, which there certainly can be, the
Right.
dumpster shifts to the south, I think that's a better situation than the dumpster in the door, having a possible conflict with the door.
Okay, so you would, if that was the instance, then you'd rather see it the other way then?
I think it's better, if the door ends up having to swing out,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make that determination, that's the building plan review's determination with the code.
Okay.
If it does go to the north and swings out, and the only issue is the dumpster sticks out into the alley a little bit, I think it's a better situation than having a possible conflict with the door and the dumpster. I don't think that dumpster gets in that area and gets pulled out by someone, a trash collector pulling that thing and pushing that thing in. It's gonna be left to the tenants there to
Sure.
shove that thing back in and out. I don't think it's enough room. I
Yeah,
think you're better
okay.
off with the door going north.
So in other words, somebody that works for a scavenger service, and again, this is a potential situation because this trash container does not exist
It does not
currently.
exist right now and isn't going to exist until I sell the buildings.
Right, okay. So if some scavenger service came by and he picks up at the 8255, he's probably gonna take the dumpster and put it right next to the telephone pole at the subject site that we're talking about, just like he would with 8255.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Okay. Do we have any other questions for the petitioners at all? So, nothing? Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on this case? No? Looks like it's just Mr. Dardick and Mr. Knapp at the podium, huh? Okay. Anything else you'd like to say in regards to this, staff? Because,
No,
you're-
those are our concerns.
Okay, so, yeah, yes, thank you. Any emails on this at all, Matt?
We have received no emails on this.
No emails?
I
Okay.
received no comments on this case either.
Okay, all right. So, the way I'm looking at it, and the revised site plan with the door opening to the north in that small area, is that something that you would rather have rather than the door opening out into the,
At the wall's current location, the preference would be to go to the north, then I don't think there's any, I think clearly there's going to be no issues with the door.
And we
Right.
have no problem with that.
okay,
Yeah, there's no issues, pouring an ice pad outside the door and exiting out. I think that it's preferred to go out. There's the room is there to do it.
all right, cool. And then also too, as obviously this issue with the dumpster is a major concern as well, since it's so close to a public alley. If they emulate the same procedure as the building to the north, the 8255, are you okay with that, shall we
It-
say?
It's
I-
not,
it's- I
it's
know
not,
it's
it's
not
not an
ideal,
ideal
but-
situation, but again, the door was the first thing that jumped out when I reviewed this with one of our building plan reviewers.
Right.
The
So that-
dumpster, he wasn't as concerned,
Concerned.
he was more concerned with clearly making sure they have a proper exit door getting out of that building.
Right, like you said, we want to make sure we follow international building code
Yeah,
and,
correct.
and stuff like that. So, of which the position of a big dumpster would have less to do.
Yeah, and the dumpster's not an ideal situation. The dumpster to the building to the north, I believe it's 8255.
Right.
That's the situation. It sticks out a little bit. I think people are cognizant and aware. It's not the ideal situation to have,
Right.
but the door was a bit of more of an issue when, during the plan review for this.
Yes. Yeah, my only concern with the dumpster, quite frankly, is if they plan on putting the dumpster where it's being discussed, whether or not that's an illegal situation.
There's nothing in the code that I could find that prohibits the can placement into the public alley. Ideally, it's adjacent to it and on private property and not blocking it for vehicular traffic and passing and going through.
Right.
And ideally, we don't want to keep pushing buildings out if they don't have to, and you can give room for it to stay out of the way. But we get calls all the time for residential areas about cans that stick out into the alley, and then they get bumped into fences and stuff like that, or garages. There's nothing in the code I could find that says you cannot place or have the dumpster in, but there's nothing, it's not the perfect situation.
I understand. Okay, great.
And in this case, we
I
won't
just
have a
wanted to
Yeah,
circle,
yeah,
I just
Commissioner
wanted to
Kirkpatrick,
circle
please.
back a little.
Go ahead.
We're here to discuss the variation. The codes and the ordinances are something they can't complete the project unless they meet those. But
Exactly.
we don't have to come up with that solution. That's up to staff and the petitioner. So aren't we just voting on the variation?
Understood, but I wanted to make sure that the variation that he's asking for will not conflict with what those codes and ordinances
Well,
by the
but I think
placement of a
we've all
dumpster.
heard that there are solutions out there.
Yes. All right, I just trying to pin it down a little bit more, get granular, as they like to say. So, is there anything you'd like to end with?
Hope I can put the addition on.
Okay, if the motion is made, the site plan that you have just submitted to us, that we have just all looked at on the overhead with the door opening to the north, that's the way that,
Yeah, the only change would be we'll put the door opening to the north instead of to the east.
to the east. All right, you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, if there's nothing else, then the chair will entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I propose the following findings of fact in the granting of the variation to the petitioner as follows. That Howard Dardick of Annan LLC are the owners of the lot described in case number 2021-04Z for the property located at 8253 Kimball Avenue, Skokie, Cook County, Illinois. That said lot is a plotted lot of record and is abutted by building sites in the north and south. That a determination is made in which the petitioner's request is consistent with the majority of the findings of fact as stated in the Village of Skokie zoning chapter. I therefore propose that the following variances be granted to the petitioner for giving failure to comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Skokie as amended to lot coverage, that the petitioner be granted the variance to construct an addition resulting in a building coverage of 68% of the lot rather than 60% maximum as required by section 118-172 of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an M2 Light Industry District, that all other codes and ordinances of the Village of Skokie shall be fully and strictly complied with.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, hold on. Okay, so I have a motion to approve without conditions, however, it's understood
Oh, yeah.
that you will
We
use the
understand
site
that
plan.
totally.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I have a motion to approve without conditions, and I think I just had a second as well. All right, Commissioner Kirkpatrick does the second. So the chair will go ahead and call the roll. Normally, he's at the end there, but I think I'll look at him up on the screen. Commissioner Salovey?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Salovey says aye. Commissioner Gupta?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Kirkpatrick?
Aye.
Okay, whoops. Okay, Commissioner Arden?
Aye.
Commissioner Perlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Aye.
And the chair will vote aye. So in the case of 2021-04Z, the motion to approve is unanimous.
Thank you, everybody.
Now,
Appreciate your-
don't go away. Corporation Council will let you know what the next move is from here.
We'll prepare the covenant running with the land. It should be ready for the property owner's signature in about 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll notify you then.
Okay. Can I start the building permitting at this point?
I think you need the covenant before you can apply
You
for
could
the permit.
apply for the permit,
figured.
no permits can be issued.
But you can at least start, you're going through it and.
Yeah, you could say, you could apply for the permit.
Okay, thank you.
And does the issue still have to be reviewed by city council or no?
No, we're a final hearing body. So this is the last step.
In this particular instance.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, good luck with your project, and, thank you for everything you do for the village.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, good. So we have that taken care of. Now we'll go ahead and before we actually hear our next case tonight, the 2021-02Z, I believe that it has been mentioned, Corporation Counsel, that before we hear this case, that a motion on the floor has to be for a motion to reconsider this case?
Yes, so if you want to call for a motion to reconsider by any member, and I thought that Sharon was going to bring the motion.
Since it was her, since she was the one presenting the case?
Having had facts brought to the zoning commission that were not available to us at the time of the hearing, I move to reconsider the motion that was made.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to reconsider the case of 2021-02Z. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay, do we need to do a roll call for this? Would you say Corporation Counsel or voice vote is? Okay, all in favor of the motion to reconsider, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone against the motion to reconsider? No, so it's unanimous. So we have now reconsidered our prior judgment on 2021-02Z. So we will now rehear 2021-02Z. So if the petitioner or the petitioner's representative would like to come up to the podium? Anybody? And while the petitioner or the petitioner's representatives are coming to the podium, Commissioner Kirkpatrick, I'm sorry that you have to reinvent the wheel here,
That's
but
okay.
that's the nature of the
It's our job.
situation. So Sharon, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. This is case 2021-02Z, 8630 Keeler Avenue. Donna Yahab requests a variation in order to construct a first and second floor addition resulting in a 3-foot north side yard rather than the 9-foot minimum as required by section 118-124-6B of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R1 single-family district. I will read the petitioner's statement. The following is the reason why I would like to ask for a side yard variance. We are a practicing Jewish Orthodox family. As such, we observe all religious Jewish holidays and adhere to Orthodox Jewish tradition. As a part of our religious tradition, we observe the tradition of mikveh. Mikveh is the customary practice of immersing ourselves in a spiritual bath. We currently reside in Skokie, and unfortunately there is a limited number of mikvahs available to the public. Over the last couple of years, the public mikvahs have become overly crowded due to an increasing usage by a growing community of Orthodox Jewish families living in Skokie. The increased usage of the public mikvahs by other patrons has resulted in reduced personal privacy as well as unsanitary conditions. Given the current health crisis, COVID-19, my family is more hesitant in using public mikvahs out of an abundance of caution. As a result, we are seeking a side yard variance to build a personal mikvah for my immediate and extended family for private use. I believe that a private mikvah will reduce the possibility of my family contracting COVID-19 as well as potentially spreading it to other members of the community. We are not asking to expand beyond the existing north wall, but rework the north section of the existing house and provide 3-foot distance to the north property line, currently 2.81 feet. In short, we would like to ask for a reduction of required 9-foot north setback to 3 feet. The mikvah will be located in the existing garage adjacent to the sauna and shower where adequate plumbing is available. Ultimately, the garage will be moved to the front along the entire available width in order to fit 2 cars. Therefore, it will be impossible to maintain 2-car garage with required 9-foot setback. A second floor addition would then be used as a guest site for visiting family members who would attend customary Orthodox Jewish gatherings and celebrations and have to stay overnight due to our religious beliefs. The entire space up to existing edge of the house is necessary to make that happen. Thank you for your consideration, and I sincerely hope you would grant my request. Please let me know if there are any additional steps you require in order for my family to complete the above proposed remodel. Best regards, Jonathan Yahab.
Okay, Sharon. There are also a few comments that are here in the packet.
Oh, I have another letter, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I believe there are 1, 2, 3 that I see.
I only have one letter.
too that I see.
Yes, I do not have these. All right. The first one I have is from Phil Finkel. Donna and Yugalia have 8630 Keeler neighbors to the south of us. They are requesting a variance to build a two-story addition 3 feet from the property line bordering our home. 8636 Keeler, rather than the 9-foot minimum requirement. Our kitchen eating area is on the first floor facing south and west, and our master bedroom is above it on the second floor. We therefore oppose a two-story addition built 3 feet from our property line. The construction would be obtrusive, block the sun, and necessitate removing trees that are on our property in that area. As it is, that area doesn't receive a lot of sunlight. Our landscapers say that a two-story addition that close to us would cause our bushes, flowers, and even grass to die. There is plenty of space on the south end of the Yahav's home to build. This proposed addition is certainly not needed due to undue hardship or practical difficulty. Respectfully, Phil and Eileen Finkel. We've both been Skokie residents since 1916, built our current home in 1991. This one is from Jeffrey Meltzer. As a 30-year resident of 8650 Keeler Avenue, Skokie, I wish to express that my wife Andrea and I are not in favor of granting this variance. The encroachment onto their neighbor's space to the north is simply too far. A 3-foot setback versus 9 foot is unfair and unacceptable. I don't know how many people have written in, but no one with whom I have spoken in the neighborhood is in favor of this being granted. This one, oh, I guess this is another one from...
The first letter was prior to...
I understand.
So
This is the second letter from Dr. Finkel. The primary reason for this rehearing is due to the fact that at the previous hearing, May 5th, the petitioner made some misrepresentations that affected the decision of the board. The staff's recommendation had been to approve a one-story addition with a 3-foot setback from the property line, allowing a variance from the 9-foot setback requirement. Dr. Yahav stated that he and I both agreed to consult with the rabbi and that the rabbi recommended approving the 2-story addition. In fact, I never agreed to meet with any rabbi, nor did any rabbi make any decision. We built our home in 1991 with our kitchen windows facing south, based on the village's setback requirement. If you look all along Keeler, you can see all the homes on the golf course follow the setback requirements. The Yahavs bought their home well aware of the setback requirement as well as the sizes of their garages. Unlike what Dr. Yahav said, the mikvahs, ritual baths, in Skokie are not overcrowded or unsanitary. In fact, they are immaculate and by appointment only. The one time Dr. Yahav spoke to us about his plans, he made no mention of a new garage or a mikvah, saying only that his daughter-in-law wants her own private space when she comes to visit. Nonetheless, we are not opposed to the Yahavs building a one-story addition to include a new garage and a mikvah, as long as required piping and draining does not affect our property and the trees on our property are not cut. The Yahavs have a very large lot with lots of space on the south end of their property. A 2-story addition on the north side of their home would be very obtrusive, blocking our view in the kitchen as well as our second-floor bedroom windows and block the sunlight in that entire section of our home. Enclosed is a letter from the owner of our landscaping company who designs and maintains our property as well as others on the Evanston Golf Course. In it, she states how a second-story addition so close to our property line would kill all the grass and vegetation in that area. This one is from Jackie Barrett. In speaking with my client, Eileen Finkel of 8636 Keeler Avenue in Skokie today, she informed me that her neighbors at 8630 Keeler Avenue have put in a request for a side yard zoning variance setback that now requires 9 feet between homes to be reduced to 3 feet. I have been designing, installing, and maintaining the Finkel's property at 8636 Keeler for several years. One of the largest issues we have in the yard is dense shade and moisture due to lack of sunlight and air circulation. I would definitely say from my professional point of view, and without a question in my mind, that if the property at 8630 were to be granted a 6-foot variance for the construction of a brand-new addition, it would greatly hinder the Finkel's property. Unfortunately, with 8630 Keeler being the south-facing side of the Finkel's property, any setback variance to the south side would have detrimental effects to the existing plant life, lawn, and even hardscape in just a short amount of time, robbing it of the little sunlight that it gets already. I will also add that I have designed and maintained several properties along Keeler Avenue that back up to the Evanston Golf Course. The houses are tastefully built to get everybody that open air, natural transition from their properties to the golf course property. Many of the homeowners bought those homes for that specific purpose. I would say that overbuilding on the homes along the golf course will slowly start to decrease that feeling to the homeowners and eventually onto the property values. I would be happy to talk to anybody on the zoning board regarding this matter that I feel very strongly about. I've been a landscape designer servicing Chicago's North Shore and surrounding suburbs for 32 years, and the owner of Earth Artist Design Landscaping, Inc. in Northbrook, Illinois for the past 16. Thank you for taking the time to read my feelings on the subject, and feel free to reach out with any questions. Sincerely, Jackie Barrett.
That's it, that's the last,
That's the last letter.
that's the last of the movie. Okay, very good. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you, to all of you.
Yes.
How are you?
All right, we're fine, thank you so much. May we have your name and spell it, so we have it for the record?
Yigal, Y-I-G-A-L. Yahav, Y-A-H-A-V.
All right, Mr. Yahav, if you would, if you could raise your hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief?
I do.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Yahav, could you please tell us why we're here tonight? I know it sounds redundant, but the...
Okay, it's okay. We can go to the ABC. No
Yeah, the intent is to rehear this case as if it's...
I never thought I'd be here, but I'll tell you why I'm happy I'm here. I'm here, more than anything else, is to apologize that perhaps I wrote a letter. Truly, I hired somebody to write the letter because I didn't hire, I just asked a writer to write the letter. And they mentioned a word that was a little bit on the extreme side, that is unsanitary. And correct, the mikvah is not unsanitary. I should write potentially unsanitary during COVID time. So I apologize primarily because I received it between surgeries while I'm seeing patient, and I just rushed and signed it without being careful to read what it was written. So on that I apologize. I called the rabbi to come. I called also the mikvah rabbi to come, and I truly apologize. Now, I help the community. I help build the mikvah. Mm-hmm. And I know what it takes to build a mikvah and maintain it. So truly, that when I was in the Zoom a month and a half ago, and you know, in Zoom you can't stop and try to correct issues. I should have stopped and said, that's not the statement, I believe it. But that's the first point. Second point, a day before, and I really don't want to make this setting an embarrassment to Orthodox Judaism or to Judaism. I want it to be as transparent as one can be. And that's why I'm happy I'm here. Because I don't want to give bad reputation to my wife and I work with the whole community. I want to clear the records. More than anything else. Whether you approve it or not, that's my prime reason here.
Okay.
Okay? At least I hope this will clear. A day before, I tried to make everything in peace, till today. A day before the event, I went to Rabbi Posner, who is his rabbi. And again, I hate to put the orthodoxy in the civil laws and rules, but I tried to make things with peace. And the rabbi told me, you're going to have to compromise. And I said, I'll have to compromise. Our setting, we originally want to be 3 feet all the way upstairs.
Right.
Okay? Now, here was the problem. Our house, here's the fundamental problem. Our house is, yes, sure it's long, but it's very narrow. It's no more than 20 feet, less than that, 15 feet in some point. Okay? So we don't have really big, we have 6 kids. I have 6 kids. 2 of them are already married. And they come primarily during Sabbath to see us and during the holidays. They come with little children and they stay the whole day, sometimes 3 days in a row in the holidays. They told me recently, we're not coming because the wives cannot run after the kids or in the other corner and who knows. So we wanted above the garage to build a nice setting, a big room, so they can come and to accommodate them to its max, that's all. If you look at the rooms, the size of the rooms here are about 15 by 14. Only one room is accommodating size for 2 children and parents. So that was the idea, more so because we do a lot of activities for nonprofit. Sometimes some people come and we like to accommodate them in private area. That's also was more that thinking. Now, if you don't approve it, you don't approve it. I tried. Okay? Now, what I also, the reason he said I never talked to him, first on Monday, I recall, I talked to him, I said, I showed him the plans way before even I presented it. And I said to him, Dr. Finkel, let's meet and let's see how we can work this structure. Suddenly, my architect tells me, everything is changing. I wish he would come to me and say to me, I'm not approving it. Let's try to work it out. But instead, he went the way he went. Okay. I went to the rabbi the day before, and the rabbi told me, and I'm glad he's here, that we'll have to compromise. So I said, no problem, I'll compromise accordingly. And he said, you can't even look, if you build, you can't look, there are Jewish laws, you cannot look at the neighbor. I said, no problem, I'll build the wall accordingly. When I said in the Zoom, perhaps it didn't come clear, and I apologize if it didn't come, I said in the end, we'll meet, and I'm sure we'll compromise if necessary. That's what I said in the Zoom. I didn't really listen to it again, to the recording. He didn't want to go to the rabbi, which I understand. He said, we thought about it, and we decided to change our life, our mind, but then he wasn't in the event, he wasn't in the meeting. So I thought, I knew the rabbi talked to him, the rabbi's here, he talked to him before the meeting. In my opinion, I was sure he's willing to, because he wasn't in the meeting, that he's willing to compromise. So here he wasn't in the meeting, the rabbi talked to him. I said I'm going to compromise accordingly so we all will live in peace. That's what I said, that's what I meant. And if he came across wrongly, I apologize. So, and I still mean it. What can we do so I can build for my children a place, second floor, and guests? Please, what can we do? You have your
All right, Sid, please, yeah, please address us in
So
that. in
here's
that-
my suggestion.
Okay.
Here's my suggestion, my solution, if possible. We tried, after the village approved 3 feet from his zone, the architect was with me, putting 2 cars in the garage to do setback in the garage, first floor to 4 feet. My wife has SUV, I have a white car. It's not gonna go, we'll scrape the cars. So, for 5 feet, he wanted 5. It's not gonna work. 4, tightly. So I said to him, I'll set back the first floor for 4 feet. Leave the 6-foot setback in the second floor like it was. He didn't want, he wanted to stay at 9 feet. The problem with 9 feet, I'll have to go to 3rd floor to accommodate things, and I don't want to do that. It's too much to climb up, it's too much not to control the children, and it's unfortunate. 3 feet, now I'm going to show you a picture that is not going to make any difference between 6 feet or 9 feet per the code. And I truly hope that you maintain what was decided, and I'll tell you why. They put trees to block us when we go between their simple green trees between their window to us. We're going to put anyhow the wall of the garage, so that's going to in a way enhance their point about the trees. Now there are so many trees, and I'll show you that even if we trim, and I have to trim now, some of the trees that are covering my garage and my roof, and they're scraping all the roof, and I have leaks. So they literally peeling off all my roof during winds time. So I don't have a choice. I have to chop at least those branches. Now, when I do the addition, it will be the same. The branches that I'm going to trim now will be trimmed for the addition. It's not that I'm cutting all the trees. Besides that, I want to show you what will be the difference when we're adding versus not.
Okay. So is this
This is
revised
area-
site plan? that-
I'm going to show you the revised plan.
Okay.
9 feet.
Okay.
Versus 3 feet that I wanted, or
Okay.
6 feet that was approved. I'll go through that pretty fast.
Okay.
And I want to show you something, if I can. This is today's time. Can you move it to the west? Okay, right. A little bit to the right so they can see that. No, I'm sorry. Right, east. So the left side is the existing, the right side is the proposed. Now, please don't, it's easy to mislead like we're going farther north. It's just that we're bringing all the roof more into the house, so it looks like bigger. But when you look at the surface, it doesn't change. Look at this corner of their house, the southwest corner. That's the closest you can get. You don't see much different there at all. And there are trees that they put. So really, you're not going to see any difference. The reason it looks like the platform north, it's not, is because we brought the roof more south. So there's no really difference here. Now, we'll be able to park the 2 cars. Now we can park, if you see, it's an L shape. So my wife was always scraping the car, trying to zigzag into the garage. For 15 years, we park outside and scrape our car in the snow. 15 years, as much as we have a house like that. Also, they asked us to put the garbage indoor because there's the squirrel. We did it. We can't park in the garage. That's it. So instead, we thought to put a mikveh there. That's all. For rabbis that come, for us. If you don't approve it, you don't approve it. But I think it will be assets to all the community. Now, the disadvantage, which I'll accept, is cutting those trees from them. But can you put the other picture? I'll show you which one. Look how much trees there are. Look how much trees. And they're talking about trees. Now look at the trees that's scraping my garage. Every year I spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to repair it.
Hundreds of thousands?
$100 to $2,000
Oh,
every year
okay.
to repair it.
I was going to say, that was a little bit of an embellishment.
It will change the whole roof.
Okay.
No, but it really does. And all my gutter get clogged. As a matter of fact, he told me 4 years ago, Dr. Finkel, told me 4 years ago, you can cut the trees. They cut trees that I didn't want them to cut, claiming they had disease. Some maybe, but they cut so many trees in the east part. I didn't complain. Now, when I'm going to cut trees to build it, it's not going to affect anything. Also talking about the sun. They spoke about the sun. The sun. The sun in the summer, that's when it's active, and I followed it. It's not going to change anything. In the winter, probably a little bit. But it depends on the arch, how you arch, when the sun arch. But in the winter, it's going to affect it slightly in terms of shade. Summer, nothing, because it's directly above you, arching above you. There's no change. So here is their claim. Now, let me tell you about the mikvah. One more thing, it's final thing. Skokie has a mikvah for women, doesn't have for men. The way the men utilize it, they go to Rabbi Posner, who is so charitable, and they use the mikvah, but it's small, it's private, it's very complex. So the way to go to mikvah, you go to Chicago. That's what it is. There are many more issues, I don't want to take your time.
Okay.
I truly believe that when you look back at the picture that I showed you, it doesn't make any difference to them. But it's an issue. When you say 6 feet versus 9 feet setback, you don't see any issue. What will hurt them later on is that I'm going to go up to 32 feet, so it'll be much taller, and that's what it's going to affect. I don't want to do that. I want to stay where I am in the same level. So it's better for them to keep in the 6 feet for the second floor. So overall, and I'm willing to do a beautiful facade for you that face you, even that the trees will block it anyhow, so you don't complain. I'm willing to do that, no problem. I'll work with you. I want to work with you. And again, if I came across wrongly, it's Zoom. We all know Zoom is not the same like I face you.
I agree.
And I apologize. I apologize for the mikvah. The rabbi for the mikvah was here. I invited him to tell him that that's not what I meant to say. He came, the head rabbi for the mikvah. He just couldn't stay. And look at me. I do a lot of charitable work. I had 80 events with my wife in the last 15 years. They all were for nonprofit, Jews and non-Jewish organization. I'm as transparent as I can be.
All
I
right.
hope to continue to represent Skokie in a beautiful way.
All right, very good. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Yahav. I appreciate your impassioned opening statement. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to step forward? Please, sir, come on up. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
All right, may we have your name and spell it so we have it in the record?
Yeah, Phil and Eileen Finkel, F-I-N-K-E-L, we're the neighbors to the north.
Okay. If I may, Mr. Finkel and Mrs. Finkel, do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Please proceed.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the board for, I know you don't do this too often, for having a rehearing. And I just want to let our neighbor know and let you know, because I know you had a question last time, why we weren't here, okay? Well, we were told not to be here because I understand previously at previous Zoom meetings, there were so many people here that it was, you know, like a madhouse, so they asked us actually not to come. We wanted to come, but we were told that's not something that you guys are doing. So that's why we weren't here. Which was unfortunate, because I remember I've viewed the video 5 times, and you said it's unfortunate that the Finkels aren't here to.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, so my wife and I have been here, we both lived in Skokie since 1960. She was born here. I just gave your age away. Excuse me. And we have no intention of moving. We've been here our whole lives, and I mean, most of our lives, and we plan on staying here. We love Skokie. We're also very involved in the community and charitable organizations. But I want to, you know, just give a few, you know, clarifications. He talks about trees we didn't put up trees. We put up bushes that are this high. Okay, that's all. So one of the things that contributed to you making your decision, we read that the staff was recommending a 1-floor addition. And as you specifically, Sharon, had said, and I'll quote, being that the neighbor objected, you were not going to approve a 2nd-floor addition, but you changed your decision because it was said that the rabbi made a recommendation that we both agreed on. And like I said, he may have gone to the rabbi, but we never agreed to go to the rabbi, and the rabbi never made a decision. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we're both Orthodox, we respect each other, but this is a zoning issue and not a religious issue. There are times where if both sides agree, you can agree to discuss certain issues, and if you can't come to an agreement, you can decide together to go to a rabbi or to a court to make the decision for you. But it's not a requirement in our religion, and in this case, he did mention it, and I said I feel that this is a Skokie zoning issue, and let the zoning board decide if this is something, okay. And I like, regarding the garage, you know, the previous owner was there 15, 20 years. They drove an SUV doing carpool. I mean, I haven't driven my car into their garage, but I know our old neighbor, she drove carpool, she had an SUV, and she used the garage. So, you know, so that's one thing as far as the need for a garage. As far as the need for a mikvah, it's not used by single women. It's generally used by, you know, married women, and not single women and not older women, okay? And it's customary for some men to go to a mikvah, but it's not a requirement. I mean, the rabbis here can correct me if I'm wrong. I know some of them go every day. I go once a year before Yom Kippur. So it's not unlike women, it's not a requirement. So I'm puzzled who in his family, I know he has guests that may want to use the mikvah, but it's not that that important, the garage, the mikvah, as far as, so we're opposed to the second floor. Whatever, if he wants to build a mikvah, an addition, a bedroom for his family, whatever he wants to use on the first floor, 3 feet away, that's fine. We're okay with that. But as our landscaper said, that second floor, even setback, is going to affect our property. If he does a one-story addition, if he needs to cut, I read some of the rules, if he wants to cut some of the some of the branches that go on his property that are going to affect the one-story addition, we're okay with that, I guess the forestry department has to approve that. And you have the letter from our landscape company. Did you want to?
And I would like to read something that I wrote.
Yeah, please, Ms. Finkel, go ahead and step on up to the microphone if you would.
We bought
Yeah,
this
she-
property, 30 years ago, based on the open feeling living on the golf course and having 100-yard setbacks from Keeler Avenue and plenty of side yard setback to keep the open feeling on the north and south side yards. All the golf course homes respect each other's space and have never crowded the neighbors to either side. We have a garage that has been close to us on the side yard due to a grandfather clause, and we don't object to the extending of that for the sake of a better garage design for our neighbor. But to build up would be obtrusive and inconsiderate to us. The lot that they have is 2.5 times the size of ours, and there is plenty that could be done on their south end or anywhere else that they choose within the Skokie Village property setback rules. The zoning board set those rules up for a reason, and we do hope you vote to respect that.
So despite all, our reasons here, we are willing to compromise. They can build whatever they want, even 3 feet on within the property line. Whether they want to build one story, whether they want to, it's up to them. We don't care if they do a garage, a bedroom, a mikvah, whatever they want, but we are opposed to the second floor based on what our landscaper told us and told you.
And based on the surrounding,
Properties.
these properties were purposely zoned for a reason. We have to do a setback that the golf course requires us of 50 feet. And the 175 to 100 feet. So we have those setbacks on the sides.
So we hope you just consider all these facts and
Yeah.
we'll respect whatever you decide.
Absolutely. As the rules go, you're entitled to notice, and that's why you're here tonight, and your opinion's very important in this case, so we thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sharon, now that we've heard from the petitioner and
Can I
the,
make just one point of clarification? with
Please do.
It was mentioned about the staff recommendation. The staff recommendation is to recommend a petitioner's request to construct the first floor addition resulting in a 3-foot north side yard be approved, and a request to construct the second floor addition resulting in a 3-foot north side yard be denied, subject to the proposed findings of fact in the staff report. The petitioner has every right to construct a second floor addition with a 9-foot setback. That's allowed by right. I
law.
just want everyone to be clear that they are allowed to do that by right with the 9-foot setback.
right,
So,
okay, cool, awesome. Thanks. Sharon, since this is your case, would you like to give us your opinion on it before we hear any further testimony from the audience?
A lot of this has to do with personal preference, how you want to use your property, and then how you can't use your property. And we've heard from the neighbors how they feel about the variation. And as Brian just pointed out, without a variation, a second floor can go up anyway. So, I'm not Solomon, I'm not a rabbi. I'm not sure I have a solution for, or a suggestion for a better outcome. I think, we've heard from both sides, and it's our job to try and balance those issues and make both sides as happy as we can make them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, perhaps if there's more further testimony from the audience, that'll help with our decision. Is there anybody else that would like to come to the podium and say a word about anything? If Mr. Yahav, if you'd like to step up to the podium and speak, please do so. You've already been sworn in, so if you want to come back and make mention of something, please go
You know,
ahead.
life is short. We
Yes,
all
it
know.
is.
In a blink of an eye,
Yeah.
I have grandchildren, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We all active in the community. I can build according to the zoning, as you mentioned. I can build second floor and can be up to 32. That's according to code, 32 feet. I suggest what we talked before, and I'll make an effort towards him. He did not mind the 6 foot that was approved. What he did mind, and initially, I'm talking about initially, what he did mind is that the setback of the garage should be 5 feet. He agreed on 5 feet. Instead, 3 feet.
Yeah.
He wanted me to do 5 feet. So I'm willing to do 4 feet in between the 3 to the 5 and leave the 6 foot if possible, so I don't have to go higher up. It has nothing to do with money. It just has to do with children climbing up to the 3rd floor and less control. My grandchildren, they are precious. That's all. That's my, if we can keep the 6 foot, and they'll not see it, as I showed you, the aerial show, they'll not see any difference from where they sit, even in the bedroom, whether it's 6 foot or 9 foot setback. So if we can retain the 6 foot and just, I'll do setback of 4 feet from the neighbor, or 4.5 feet. The car barely will go in, but at least we compromise.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. and Mrs. Finkel just said on the first floor, you can go to 3 feet if you want. That,
No,
was I
right.
correct in saying? On the first floor. They just don't want the
They
second
changed-
floor
they
being
changed their
that.
mind, correct. They changed their mind, which I just heard about it recently, about the second floor. When I presented you, forgive me.
All right, hold on,
Okay,
hold on.
You're right,
Hold
we
on.
shouldn't, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right,
Yeah.
you're right. We don't want to go to that level. You're right.
Yeah.
But anyway, just last picture. Keep it in mind before you decide. Can you bring back the picture that I showed there? And here is the most sensitive point, and I understand them, I really do. Here is the most sensitive point, which is right here. But anyhow, they have trees. They put trees here. And there's only one window here, small window, that they blocked it with the trees. When they sit here, or they sit here, 6 feet here will not make a difference versus 9 feet. They're not going to sit, but the height may make a difference for them. That's my, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to say something?
I thought that they could build on the other side.
Sure. Yeah, that's it. I would think so. I don't see why not.
Why not?
Because it's like every, before we decide, we should build so. That's not. Okay. Yes, we were just talking about that. I think what we're going to do in this particular matter, and I'm going to mention this to staff and to, is that, and I talked with Corporation Counsel about this, we seem to have a consensus on the first floor doing the 3 foot setback. I believe that the Finkels are okay with that, if I'm not mistaken. So what I think we would like to do would be to bifurcate the first and second floor requests and treat them as totally separate requests. And I think that way we can move forward with the first floor, and then the second floor we'll treat separately.
In
Since
two
that's
separate
obvious.
motions. Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, we're going to treat the first floor request as 2021-02ZA. Now we're getting into alphabeticals here. And then the the second floor request, we will treat as 2021-02ZB. Okay? Now, we-
Mr. Chairman, real quick.
Yeah, please.
We have not received any emailed comments during this.
Okay, so we're clean as far as that. Any comments has been pretty much restricted to what we have in
Yes.
the chambers tonight, okay. We don't need to make a motion to bifurcate? No, we just do it. Okay, very good, okay. So,
We do that, and I understand what we're doing.
okay,
I just need to know what I'm asking for the second floor. I mean, is there any compromise here?
it's not looking real good right now.
Well, the
Dr. Zahav, are you asking for 6 instead of 3 at this point?
Please, Dr. Saab, please, because we need to have your statement on
the original request is for 3 foot for
3, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Are we
yeah,
asking
yeah.
for 6
When
now?
Can I just clear,
Yeah.
you're right, there are phases here, let me just clear it, I'm sorry. Originally, we came with 3 feet. Everything was
3.
with 3 feet, right, up and down.
Right.
Everything was moving along,
Yes,
till that we send the letters per the code. Then the Finkel changed their mind, and then they decided to protest it. Then the committee approved 6. The committee approved 6 and 3 in the first floor. 6 second floor, 3 first floor. We understand that, right? The committee approved it. Then, unfortunately, the Finkel were not happy. I was willing to compromise even a little bit more on the first floor, but they wanted to come to the zoning. The zoning say, according to code, we can build second and third floor up to 32 high, but 9 feet. But it's going to make it very narrow. I cannot, it's going to make it 15 feet wide. I can't even put more than 1 bedroom for my grandchildren. So I asked to keep the 6 foot, that, and then I don't need to build the third floor. Now, the height will drop if I'm not building the third floor, and it will be more covered by the trees. Nobody will see it. If I go to 32, it will be.
That's fine, I just wanted to clarify that we're asking for 6 on the
And by the
second
way,
motion.
just one note, and we don't need to rehash it. The Zoom, no letters came. They came now. And we didn't even send second letter. Obviously, they were mobilized. I don't want to go to detail, but they were mobilized. Those are
but
not
that's-
letters.
That's America.
But that's,
So that's America.
no, that's philosophical point, but that's what I believe. They were mobilized, but that's okay. But I really hope we can keep the 6 foot. I really do. Because the height will change, and it will be better for everybody.
okay, okay. Yeah, Mr. Finkel, please, if you would, please come on up to the podium.
Just real quick, because I know you guys have been here a long time.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, he talks about
very important.
compromise. To me, agreeing to a 3-foot setback on the first floor is a big compromise, okay? We don't want to compromise on the second floor. If it's the code that you can do 9 feet, we'll have to live with it, but less than that, to me, that's not a compromise
Yeah.
for us.
If I may, and I want to conjoin staff on this too. Mr. Yahav was talking about that he can build up to another story and go 32 feet high, so he can build 3 stories in that area?
Maximum height due to the lot width is 32 feet tall in this district due to the lot width. But that's also the reason why that the larger side yard is now required because of complaints that came to the board years ago due to the building boom in around 05, 04, 05, 06.
The McMansions?
Correct.
Yeah.
The larger lots were allowed to build taller but have a little bit bigger side yard. The smaller lots a little bit smaller, standard side yards. But they are allowed to build by right 32 feet tall to the maximum peak of the roof.
Right, okay.
Just as a side thing, he had mentioned to me that the one time that he took us aside, he said it was going to cost him $800,000 to build the 2-story addition. He can build a coach house on the south side of his property for his family if he really wants a living area for his visiting family.
Understood.
Coach house detached from the principal structure is not currently permitted in Skokie at this time. Attached as an addition, yes. A separate dwelling unit is not permitted.
That's why I love our staff. They're extremely knowledgeable in all facets of zoning ordinances. Okay. Again, we have bifurcated this into the 2021-02ZA, which is going to pertain to the 3-foot north side yard for the first floor. So that's what which seems to be the consensus. So, if there's no other question about the first floor setback, then the chair will entertain a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I propose the following in the granting of a variance to the petitioner as follows: that Donna Yahav and Jonathan Yahav are the owners of the lot described in case number 2021-02ZA for the property located at 8630 Keeler, Skokie, Cook County, Illinois. That the said lot is a plotted lot of record and is abutted by single-family dwellings on the north and south. That a determination has been made in the petitioner's request, in which the petitioner's request is consistent with the majority of the findings of fact as stated in the Village of Skokie's zoning chapter. I therefore propose that a variance be granted to the petitioner for giving failure to comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Skokie as amended as to side yard requirement. That the petitioner be granted the variance to construct a first floor addition resulting in a 3-foot north side yard rather than 9-foot minimum as required by section 118-124-6B of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R1 single-family district. That all other codes and ordinances of the Village of Skokie shall be fully and strictly complied with.
Okay, thank you so much, Sharon. Very well done. I have a motion on the floor to allow the 3-foot north side yard for the first floor. So do I have a second on this?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Perlin seconds. And the chair will go ahead and call the roll. Commissioner Jacobson?
Aye.
All right. Commissioner Perlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Arden?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirkpatrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta? Yes. And Commissioner Salvi, David, you still there?
No.
No, okay. He says no. And the chair will go ahead and vote aye. So in the case of 2021-02ZA at 8630 Keeler, which is the first floor 3-foot north side yard setback, that has been approved with just one dissenting vote. Corporation Counsel, what does the petitioner need to know about this from here on out?
We'll be preparing the covenant running with the land. That should be ready in 2 to 3 weeks for that issue. And we'll notify you when it's ready for your signature. But obviously, I'm sure you're going to want to know what happens with B, so.
I think that's extremely germane to this situation. Okay, so now we do have in front of us, now that 2021-02ZA has been resolved, we will now move on to 2021-02ZB. This will be the variation for the second floor with the 3-foot side yard setback.
6 foot.
Well, per the notice, it says 3.
But you
so-
can ask for less.
Right.
Yeah, I believe the petitioner made reference that he's asking for a 6 foot.
Okay, so now we can go ahead and
Yeah, if
we
it's-
can make the motion for less than.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If
right.
it's less, yeah, correct.
Okay. Okay, so then we're looking at a 6-foot setback, north side setback on the second floor. Is there any further discussion on that? If there isn't, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I propose the following in the granting of a variance to the petitioner as follows: that Donna Yahab and Jonathan Yahab are the owners of a lot described in case number 2021-02Z for the property located at 8630 Keeler, Skokie, Cook County, Illinois. That said lot is a platted lot of record and is abutted by single-family dwellings on the north and south. That a determination has been made in which the petitioner's request is consistent with the majority of the findings of fact as stated in the Village of zoning chapter. I therefore propose that a variance be granted to the petitioner for giving failure to comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Skokie as amended as to side yard requirement. That the petitioner be granted the variance to construct a second floor addition resulting in a 6-foot north side yard rather than 9-foot minimum as required by Section 118-124-6B of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R1 single-family district. That all other codes and ordinances of the Village of Skokie shall be fully and strictly complied with.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor, 2021-02ZB, which is to construct a second floor addition with a 6-foot north side yard setback. That is what is currently on the floor. Do I hear a second for this motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Jacobson will second the motion. Okay. Discussion has ended on this, and again, we're voting on a 6-foot north side yard setback on the second floor. Commissioner Salvi, let's start with you this time.
No.
No? Okay. Commissioner Gupta? Yes. Commissioner Kirkpatrick?
It's you.
Sharon?
Aye.
Commissioner Arden?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Perlin?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Jacobson?
No.
Okay, and the chair will vote no. So in the matter of 2021-02ZB, the motion to construct a second floor addition with a 6-foot north side yard setback rather than the 9-foot minimum has been defeated. 3 votes to 4. So in this instance, wait, I'm sorry. Put the X in the wrong spot. 2 votes to 5 votes. Yes, thank you, Corporation Counsel. What does the petitioner need to know from here on out?
Doctor, this is considered a final hearing body, so this is the last level of appeal here within the village. Should you be dissatisfied, you need to raise the issue at the with the circuit court for an administrative hearing. But there's time deadlines, so if you're interested in doing that, you should probably reach out to council as soon as possible. But the A was approved, so you are approved for the 3-foot setback for the first floor, but you've been denied the second floor entirely.
At least to...
Up to 9 feet.
Right, up to 9 feet, of course. Anything closer to 9 feet has been rejected. So, that is it. Okay. Okay, so that's... All right, thank you. In that case, the matter of 2021-02 Z, A, and B are now closed. That is it. We do have our next meeting, which would normally be July 21st, has been canceled for lack of cases. And we also, apparently, our August 4th meeting has been canceled for lack of cases. Staff, when will we be having our next meeting? Is it foreseeable as of this point?
I do not have a definite date. I've spoken with a couple potential property owners or potential applicants for variations, but
Okay.
we have no definite cases as of this point.
Okay, so when would we,
A couple weeks, we would know for the August 18th, I believe, meeting.
So-
Within the next 2 or so weeks, we'll know for the second meeting in August.
okay, very good. All right. In that case, I believe that is it. The only other thing I do want to mention before we adjourn for the evening is I would like to congratulate Mr. Perlin in his elevation to vice chair, taking the place of Alan Gerstner. who-
Well, nobody can really take Alan's place.
No, nobody can
On
take
the
Alan's
record,
place.
But I am gonna start taking more pictures, probably even with a camera now.
Yeah, very good, yes.
I started this week.
All right, yeah, which, as we can see, was pretty important in the first case. And that being said, too, I would also like to welcome our newest member, Vijay Gupta. So Vijay, thanks, and hope you found this pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting for,
This is a big initiation. Usually it's not that difficult.
My background is
yeah.
Yeah.
and is licensed professional landscape.
Oh, so you're civil engineering.
So,
This is very interesting for me.
all right, awesome. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then this meeting of the Village of Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals is adjourned. Thank you very much.